दिशा में तेरी कीर्ति, दिव्य रूप तेरी ज्योति, हर दिशा में तेरी कीर्ति, एक ओम का ही ध्यान मुक्ति पथ दिखाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर। ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए, सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। We were studying the concept of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is for the emotional aspect of our personality. It is not about asking God for something or praying for preservation of something or any such thing. It's not about oneself. The whole purpose of the sadhana is to stop the thought about oneself. Whether we do it through karma or bhakti or jnana, the critical part of it is the thought of oneself has to go away. If you notice, no matter what happens in our life, we look at it from our own perspective. I mean, you can always argue how else can you look at it? You can't look at it any other perspective but your own. But it's not just your own perspective. It is your perspective with self-interest. Everything has to be your perspective, naturally. But always the focal point is me. Okay, somebody says something very rudely. So in my mind, it is he's rude to me. In my mind, it can also be, right? It can also be he's a rude person, he's an uncultured person, he is maybe busy today, maybe he has some problem. It can be about him. But no, I have to make it about myself. No matter what happens, I have to make this about myself. And we just don't understand how, what should I say, enervating, how agitating this way of looking at life. And we do it at every step. Everything is about me. It's very difficult to sort of explain how badly we do this. I'll tell you a rather silly incident that happened, and for me it was an eye-opener. I don't know whether you will look at it like that, but it was an aha moment. There was a man, okay, who was telling me that, oh, my back is hurting so much, and I can't do this, I can't do that. It's very uncomfortable. I can't sleep at night. All these things you see. So I said, he's of course done the normal things. I said, why don't you try this particular therapy and see if it works for you? So he said, what do? I said, well, they walk all over you. I'm slightly saying what they mean is they do the massages with their feet. So they walk all over you, I told him. So he was like horrified. He said, no, not with feet, not with feet. Not with feet? He said, how will they get that? They want that extra pressure. Nobody can touch me with their feet. No. And to me, that was like an aha moment. I stood there like gaping at him. Because this represented what we humans do all the time. You hear something, and the only thought is, am I going to be comfortable with this or not? The only thought. And we live life like that. There is no vision even about our own life. Okay, I have a backache, let me get rid of that backache. Even not that. Just, will I be comfortable? And no, I can't tolerate it if somebody touches their feet. That's all we can think about. The most superficial, the most, forgive the word, idiotic thing is what we think about. And we come to Vedanta and we learn we should not follow likes and dislikes. And we don't know that we're doing this at every second of our life. Because we are always asking the question. We're always looking at things from the perspective of, will I be comfortable if I do that? That's our only perspective. There's nothing else to it. My own welfare is not my perspective. The general welfare is not my perspective. All I can think of is, will I be comfortable if I do it? Then we say, how are we not successful? Or we say, oh, we come to Vedanta, I've been here so many years, but I'm not so successful still. How is that possible? If you figured out that you have to do everything based on that ideal and not upon your personal comfort, how can you not be successful? Very interesting that in the Upanishad, okay, the highest textbooks known to mankind. In the Upanishads, the student that they show, they portray the student, okay? Shaunaka or somebody, the student there. And he has approached the master. Shaunaka approaches Lord Brahma to learn Brahma Vidya. So what is the description of Shaunaka? He's a high achiever. He's a very successful person. He has achieved everything in the world and now wants to know what there is more to achieve. What is our condition? We cannot achieve anything in the world. We say, Acha Baba, we will take God's name. That is not right. We have to be. So why do you think that the Upanishads showing the higher Brahma Vidya, they only teach Brahma Vidya, they don't teach anything else. Why do they show their student as being this high achiever person? I mean, they don't show, they show somebody who's achieved everything in the world. Why like that? Why do you think that is?
Because if
He is willing to take up the challenges in life.
Okay. Say always we are talking about a point, remember, always in context.
It shows the discipline needed.
Yes, he has already attained self-mastery. If you cannot achieve success in the world, why can't you achieve success in the world? It's the easiest, most stupid thing to get. Gita says, no? Shipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Shipram means instantly, quickly. In this manushe loke, in this world of men or people, in this world of people, quickly is success born of action. Karmaja, born of action. So it's very simple, it's very quick, it doesn't take very long. Self-realization, then janmas. Achieving something in the world, happy marriage, good money, health, good skin, good hair, and it doesn't take very long. How long if you have bad skin and then you have to apply all the stuff on your skin and then your skin will become good? In a few months. You want to achieve money? 5 years is more than enough to earn plenty. So what is the problem then? Why don't we become successful? Why? If he says it's so quick, then what are we struggling so much for? What is it that we are refusing to do? Nobody is listening. Very sad pieces.
You're not doing what it's
such things. Yeah, you don't do the action. That's why it says karmaja, born of action. We talk all these big things, but where is the work? No work. What does that work mean? Can I do the action which needs to be done? And it needs to be done based on, how will you know it needs to be done? Based on
The goal.
the ideal. But what we do in life is we do actions based on
Likes and dislikes.
Likes and dislikes.
On our comfort. Now, suppose I ask you, do you want to come to the France retreat? What is the first thought that comes? Will this be comfortable? The first thought. So say, do you want to join the PG diploma course? What's the first thought? Will this be comfortable for me? There is no vision, there is no ideal, no thought like that comes to us. So therefore, when we go to the temple or the church or the mosque, we honestly ask what we want, which is
Comfort.
all our comfort, just the fulfilling of our likes and dislikes. Just comfort, that's all I'm asking. So what we think of as Bhakti Yoga is nothing other than the same,
asking
the same materialistic life. Same thing. I am unsuccessful in the material world because I am not willing to do what it takes to get me that success. Similarly, in the spiritual world, I am unsuccessful because I'm not willing to do what it takes to get that goal. So, Bhakti Yoga is not about asking for anything. It is about
Giving.
Gratitude.
remembering the purpose of what you're doing. It is not asking for any physical thing, any material thing. It is not asking for any emotional solace. None of this. It's not asking for punya and heaven and that God loves you. I'm asking. It is taking up the path because there is a purpose there. And you have to be clear what the purpose is. This is same across the paths. People take up social work. People take up study of the scriptures, but they're not sure what are they trying to do. What is the point? What is the purpose? So Bhakti Yoga is not asking for those comforts, but willing to be uncomfortable to achieve whatever needs to be achieved.
So, Janki,
That's the crux of it. Now, having understood what it is not, we moved on to understanding, therefore, what is it? Yeah, Nain.
is it okay to ask for, instead of asking for less work, is it okay to ask for strength to,
Go ahead, Nain.
instead of asking for removing an obstacle, is it okay to ask for strength to overcome that obstacle? Because what they normally do is they ask for remove this obstacle from my path. Isn't it better to ask for strength to overcome this obstacle?
Naim, it is everybody's personal relationship with their God. So we cannot ever tell anybody this is okay or not.
Yeah.
In fact, nothing is okay or not. It's a matter of what exactly is that person trying to do. Some people go to the temple or church or mosque only with the idea of emotional solace. That's all they want.
Right.
If that's all they want, then just thinking that God is taking care of them, that God will give them the strength, is useful for them. So do it if that works for you. It's a very, very personal path. There is no it's okay or not okay. It is the principle involved that we are studying. Okay, we are just studying how this works. How it works in Bhakti is that by whatever means, they force you to think of God. 9 out of 10 times, the only way we can think of God is by using God as sort of a helper in our life. Okay, God, I'm not able to handle this, you handle it for me. He's just like our assistant or helper or something like that. And religion permits this. Because why does religion permit such a relationship with God?
Because at least that way you're thinking about God.
Yes, because at least the thought of God is planted. So whether something is okay or not okay is all a matter of where are you? What is the plan? Who is handling this thing? Maybe your guru who is handling it for you, in which case he tells you, this is handling it for you. He's allowing you to grow from where you are. Or if you can handle it for yourself. But at the moment, we have to understand the principles. So if you feel, or anybody feels, the need for that sort of
We lost you for a moment, Janki. I don't know whether it was my connection or everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Janki's connection seems to have gone, so we'll wait for her to come back.
Are you back? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, finally, okay. So Naim, what did you hear up to?
It's subjective. It depends on your personal relationship with God and what you ask for.
Okay. Yeah, it's subjective. It depends on your current level and what your needs are. So either your guru will direct the proceedings, in which case he will know what is okay for you to do and what is not, or you can do it yourself if you understood the principles involved. So anything, so broadly speaking, anything that currently inspires the mind, we must do. Okay, if you don't argue with it, there's no point. What are you going to achieve? If the mind is inspired by a bhajan or what is that? Dervish dancing or whatever in the world your mind is inspired by, please allow that inspiration, because that inspiration is lifting the mind up. Okay, suppose it's inspired by saying God is going to take care of me, or God is going to help me get the strength to remove the obstacles, go by it. Because the mind is being seeded with the idea of the transcendent, which is something desirable, right? So if you don't need it and you do these things, then the mind is not being seeded, so it's not desirable. Is that okay?
Yes, Duncan.
So one important aspect of this is to always realize that sadhana is always personal. So what is needed by X is not needed by Y, and it's no business of us to tell anybody else what is okay and what is not okay. In other words, we can't go stand outside the temple or church or mosque and say, you guys are coming here to pray to God to give you these things. That's a terrible thing to do. No, it's not. For them, it's a good thing to do. It's better than what they would have done otherwise. So we don't stop people from doing any of this. We are not iconoblasts. We won't go to somebody who does worship of some kind of image or something and tell them that's a bad thing, you shouldn't do it. No, for them it is good. So there is no one size fits all. The only thing which is applicable to everybody at all times are only those laws, not their applications. The laws will hold true good throughout, but do not apply applications as rules of conduct, because that will never work. Never work means it won't fit all cases. So what is our job over here right now is to understand the essence of devotion. Remember, this is not a practice of devotion. This is our comprehension of devotion. You don't do bhakti yoga while you're reading this. While you're reading this, you're still doing jnana. In the sense of understanding what it is all about. And then you decide what is relevant for you. Like many people feel it's dichotomous. Oh my God, I'm so inspired by Rama or Krishna or Vittala or any other god, Kali or anybody. And Vedanta says you should not have a personal god. No, Vedanta says no such thing. Vedanta never says do this or don't do this. It just gives laws of life. And the law here is that as long as your mind is inspired by something higher than yourself, as long as it can move even a little bit, when you're asking God to help you, it's moved a little bit, right? Because then you're saying, okay, it's not my work alone, but God is also going to help. A little bit, something else you have registered. So it is good. From that level, I hope the concept is clear. We should have exams in this class also. No? Everybody, after the BG20, after the Bhagavad Gita and 20, everybody gave their exams and then they were quite happy. Everybody was happy. And I think we should have another classes also. So at least we know whether Anyone is listening? Concept is clear in this online thing. No way of knowing, right? Whether the concept is clear or not. In a real world class, you can look at a person's face and at least know if they're paying attention. Here I'm just reading Poonam Uttam Chandani. For all I know, she's going to have a glass of cold milkshake. I don't know what is happening. Okay, at least I can know with 5 people currently what is happening. So why don't you all put on the thing? Because you all don't dress up for class, is it? You can understand that. But if you all are dressed and in a reasonably all right place, please put your video on so I can see what is going on. So Natalie, why did you not put your video on? You always have it on.
I had trouble joining Zoom this morning, so I went on YouTube. Now I'm back.
Oh, okay.
How do you?
There you go. Okay, so far so good. Shall we proceed? Does anyone have any question up to this point? Okay, let us go forward. Who will read?
I can read.
This is a wrong paragraph. Janki ji, just a second. We are on, it is time you examine the crevices in your personality.
Yeah. Who was reading?
Me.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is time you examine the crevices in your personality. You know not where you come from. You know not the purpose of your sojourn in this world, where and when you will go from here. The day you were born, mother's milk is programmed for your sustenance. Your oxygen supply is short, your temperature and pressure within maintained meticulously to this day. The atmospheric temperature and pressure outside maintained punctuously for your survival. Your alimentary canal, respiratory organs, nervous system, and countless other functions service your personality day and night from birth to death. The unseen functions are not confined to mere maintenance of beings. They extend further as constant vigilance over any intrusion by predators. The moment a foreign matter enters your body or you bruise yourself, there is an instant release of forces within to mend the damage done to your body. You must realize the boundless benefaction lavished on beings. Hardly anyone is aware of it, much less grateful for what is received and enjoyed. So it tells us how the whole environment and our whole like how much we benefit from the things that had already been present, and we're not grateful for it because we don't acknowledge it, because it is always there and we don't acknowledge.
That was the second point. First point. First point is a continuation of the previous one.
To examine the crevices on your personality, you know not where you come from, you know not the purpose of your existence.
One word, Deepraj.
Mm.
You did the next part very well, right? You said
Yes.
you have no gratitude. First part
Yes.
is you have no, or you have?
You have no purpose.
Ignorance.
Ignorance.
You have ignorance.
Ignorance. Okay.
Remember, he's discussing what is Bhakti Yoga. So far, in the summary, we've only done what it is not. Now, it's not all this beggary and all these sort of things. What is it? Number one is you recognize your ignorance. Number two, you have gratitude. Can you just imagine what is our state We are completely helpless beings. What can you do on your own? All right. If millions of things are not supporting you, you can't keep yourself alive. Do you know how to keep yourself alive? Suppose from now on, everybody but you in this world was dead. Can you even keep yourself alive? You won't know how to gather food or how to cook it or what food can be eaten and can't be eaten. Can you just imagine? Imagine there's no electricity, there is no internet, there is no gas, there is no nothing. Okay? You're all alone. Nobody else is doing anything. You won't know how to keep yourself warm. You won't know anything. What do you do? Once your sweaters and shawls are all finished, what will you do? You can't keep yourself safe. You can't keep yourself fed. You can't keep, you won't know where to get water from. Where are you going to go hunting for water? Completely useless beings. Okay, any other being in this world is capable of looking after itself. A human being is not even capable of that. Nothing it can do. Okay, now suppose there was no spec shop. Then where will we get glasses from? We can't see anything. So our life is entirely dependent upon billions of things working. Right? Now today, internet, for whatever reason, now it is in the morning, I think internet doesn't work very well over here. It disappears. When it has disappeared, what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. So I have to quickly run to my telephone and hotspot it and see whether the hotspot works. Well, maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. And if it does work, what role is it of mine? Isn't it? How many people have done whatever things they have done, right up to Farokh fixing it? Before I can just click something and then the hotspot somehow comes on. I don't even know what a hotspot is. But anyway, you have to click the button and then somehow internet is back. Can you imagine? When you fall down and stub your toe, you know, there's a little bruise that comes, a little purple black thing. And then there's a little bit of pain, and after a few days, it's all gone. Who made it go? How did it go? The pain is gone, the bruise is gone, life is back to normal. What have we done? Absolutely nothing. We just had to wait it out. Do we know how any of this works? No. Are we grateful that any of this works? No. We are busy saying, oh God, give me this, oh God, give me that. And God must be saying, ye to sab pagali log hai. These people are all mad. I have given them of their life 99.9%. And all they can see is that 0.1% which they are not able to get for themselves. That's all they can see. Can't see anything else. So Bhakti Yoga, firstly, is awareness of our own ignorance. That is why they say God is all-knowing, as opposed to us, totally ignorant. He is all-knowing. He knows everything. He is merciful. He's merciful. Why? Because we need that mercy from him. We are so silly. He's all-knowing. He's all-merciful. Actually, he's neither all-knowing nor is he all-merciful. All it's trying to tell us is we are not these things. So, as we understand more and more, we begin to understand that we know less and less. That is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, because here is where surrender starts. Surrender starts with our recognition of our ignorance. That is why some people convert the prayer from God give me this to God, I know that whatever you give me will be the best for me. Which is in fact true. Because our personality is sharpened by the challenges we get. And we get those things that are most necessary for us, those problems which are most necessary for us to sharpen our personality. Any area in which we are experiencing a problem is an area where we have to get something. We have to understand something. We have to learn something. If we were not ignorant in that area would be smooth for us, like it is for others. Have you never seen in your life, you think, oh my God, those people have no problem in relationships, but look at me, I always have a relationship problem. Or those people have no problem with finances, but look at me, I have a problem with finances. Or those people have no problem with health, but look at me, or weight, or whatever in the world. We all compare ourselves to people who don't have our problem and says, that person doesn't have, only I have. Because that's where we have to learn something. And blessed are our problems, for they are our best teachers. They are actually going to the root and hurting it enough for us to wake up and do something about it. Omkar, do you have a question?
Yes, Chagi. A plain reading of this section, the impression is Swamiji is kind of denouncing the practices that we often see, idol worship and all of those. And in fact, he seems to be warning us against that. Whereas you just mentioned that if you're doing that, even as a starting point, I mean, please go ahead and do that. Now, I'm not understanding why Swamiji is so clearly saying something.
Look, I am largely he used to call me his tape record. Okay, I merely repeat what he says, and I'm repeating what he has said. He has written that and said this. I'm also reading that and saying this. It is his view. It is not my view. He has said that we are not iconoclasts. We don't do this. We don't go around telling people that, oh, you're worshipping God, this is no good. Not our business to do it. These are not his words, because I can't use his words. I have to use my words. These are not his words, but he has always maintained that each person has to do it, that it is okay. So his words are as follows. He says that some people need the crutch of the idol, and it does not help them walk if you pull that crutch away from them. Why would you do that? Okay, if you need that kind of crutch and you don't use it, you're not going to progress. So if you need it, use it. But it will be helpful to know that it was a crutch, and one day this crutch will fall away. It will be helpful to know that. So I am not saying anything different from what he says. And it's not even about what he says, but what is sensible. Is it sensible to go around telling people that, oh, you're worshipping an idol, that's really bad? Because every one of us is worshipping an idol, whether you call it an idol or not.
No, it's not about telling others, but it seems that in the initial stages of your spiritual journey, if you get your mind involved, at least with whatever kind of interests you, that's a good thing. I mean, in a way, that's what I understood from yours. But here he's very clearly saying all of this doesn't make sense. I mean, he's not giving it as a progression. He's not presenting it as a progression. He's saying this doesn't make sense. That's what I understand.
Yeah, but he's not really saying that. An author or speaker takes a certain stance, and you have to read between the lines. Now, if you read the previous paragraph, you're saying, okay, the first line here says, cast aside all these meaningless practices of devotion. So you're probably referring to that. Now, what does he mean by meaningless practices of devotion? Read the previous paragraph. An idol may be a living person or an inert object, substantial or insubstantial. It is meant to represent the ideal that is sought, like a national flag for a nation. The flag is the ideal used to develop national consciousness, the ideal set for the people. Is he against the flag? Not against it at all. He is saying it is used to develop national consciousness. But imagine a person, here's a but, which he has not written, but it's implied. But imagine a person with deep regard and respect for his flag. He uses it faithfully for national ceremonies and conventions. When he engages his time in while he engages his time in anti-national activities. Such is the state of devotional people today. They stick to idols, hang on to personalities, get addicted to ceremonies and rituals, run after pilgrimages to places of worship, with no sight of the ideal. They miss the soul of prayer and worship. They take the husk and throw the grain away, cast aside all these meaningless practices. Now you get it? He's not against them. He's against them being done in the way they are being done. These are standard recommended religious practices. Who can be against? He is also not against them. He's in fact explaining why it is that. Then he's
But
the
the difference I found was that you gave it as a kind of a progression. If you're not and he's not presenting as a progression at all. He's not giving it as a starting point at all.
Yeah, it's you can't.
And in a way, if I kind of read between the lines, it seems to me that if you get into this, there's no way of getting out of it. I mean, you will get deeper into it, kind of a thing.
No, where he's not saying anything like that. He said cast
No, he's not
aside
saying.
these meaningless practices. He's not saying cast aside the practices of devotion. He's saying cast aside the meaningless practices of devotion. Meaningless means what? There's no meaning, no purpose behind it. You are loving your idol, but you have no idea what is the ideal. So that is obvious, right? Don't do this wasting. And as far as it being progression, you can put it as progression. You can put it as crutch. His word was crutch. You can use it as a crutch. Use the word progression. You can say, based on your level, you do whatever inspires you. These are not, don't worry about who is saying what. Try to get to the essence of the idea, because different people will put it differently. What we must do is figure out what is the principle involved. You have to use an ideal to reach an ideal. Every one of us have to do it. But don't forget the ideal in your pursuit of the ideal. That's the only point involved.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Joyce, what is meant by crevices in your personality? Crevices. Crevices means little nooks and corners, little nooks and corners. So what are these crevices in your personality? The blanks in your personality. Let's say you can change the word to the blanks, the empty portions. So what is empty? Basically the whole thing. You don't know where you came from. You don't know where you're going. You don't know why you're here, what you're doing over here. You know the purpose. You want to understand, is there a reality, not a reality? Is there God? Is there no God? If there is God, what is he doing in our life, if anything? Everything is unknown to us. How does my body work? I don't know. How does my mind work? Sometimes strange thoughts come to our mind. The most innocent sight brings about the most weird thought in our head. anything, right? How does this, why is my mind thinking of this and that? Stimuli thinks of this. We don't know what will make our intellect come into action, what will suppress it. So the whole thing is like dark. The crevices are usually dark, that represents our ignorance. So what, everything is dark, everything is unknown, everything is in the large way pointless because we don't know what we're doing. So he says, examine all about our own personality, which is unknown to us, which is basically everything. We don't understand how our own mind functions. This mind in us, chattering all the time. And no matter how much it goes on talking, we've understood nothing out of it. Isn't that strange? So much is going on and on, but I know nothing still. So examine all these dark, unknown, little nooks and corners hidden here. I don't know how it is in Lebanon, but in India, there is a national hobby. And the national hobby is, if you see a little corner, you go stuff something in it. You won't find empty spaces here. If you find empty spaces, you're fortunate. Here, every corner, every nook, everything, there's no empty surface that will be left empty. Even top of the cupboard will not be left empty. Then why did you make a cupboard if you wanted to put things on top of the cupboard? No, we have to put top of the cupboard. Under the bed. You want to put things under the bed for? There's no, everywhere in this country, you will find everybody. My maid, when she joined me, in fact, even now, she's like a squirrel, If she finds any little thing, she'll go push it somewhere. She finds the plastic bag, she'll go push it somewhere. And after some time, I said, why is this plastic bag lying here? Oh, shove it there. Then she'll find some piece of cloth, she'll go shove it in some other place. And my job is to go and remove all this. What is she squirreling everything away for? There is something called a waste bin. And if we don't need it, we can put things in that. I told her, this waste bin is free. We don't charge. You can put things in it. But she doesn't understand that. So she goes and she hides it from me. She thinks I have to hide and keep. So she hides and squirrels it away. Like that in our personality, squirreled away is this vast network of ignorance. And every now and then we can see, oh my God, this whole thing is lying here. This one has put it over here. I have to take it all out and put it in the bin. She's amazing. She'll take, if you have starch, the studies require starch, so buy starch. So then where should the starch be? In most obvious places, in the laundry room, with all the laundry stuff, the starch should be kept. Where else would you put it? Where did she go and put it? She goes and puts it with the disposable cutlery. Sometimes people come over, we have a meeting, so we keep a little bit of disposable plates so that, some of us get together and we can use them. In that, she has gone and put starch. Why has she gone and put starch? Search me. So then nobody can find the starch until she arrives and lets us know where has she put it. Similarly, we behave just like that. We go and stuff something somewhere. In our personality, we have to take it out and deal with it. All the vast ignorance, all the things that we have suppressed, all the things that we are not willing to see, all those dark corners, we have to go there, remove those things, see it, and individually keep it or throw it. So those are your crevices of the personality. Now you explain. So the crevices are, you know not where you come from. You know not the purpose of your sojourn in this world. Where and when you go from. You don't know any of this. These are the dark crevices of our personality. This is given generally, but way more. I don't know what negative emotions I have tucked away somewhere. I don't know what false notions I have tucked away somewhere. Okay, those are the crevices. All right.
Thank you. Yes, and I think that part of the problem also is that many of us, or all of us maybe, I don't know, act as though we know it all. Because if you show that you don't know, you seem vulnerable and people might, let's say, misinterpret. So I think that it's also part of the problem that we act as though we know everything and we impose this knowledge, which is not really a knowledge, on others.
Yes, but I mean, what we do may be necessary. Suppose you come anytime to India and you go on the streets behaving like you don't know anything. Before you know, you won't have anything. So you cannot do
Yes.
that. So you have to, pretend knowledge. That's fine. What you show the world, that's a matter of what you do. What do you know about inside of yourself? That is what is critical. I know fully well how much in ignorance I am. But when you talk to the world, you talk confidently. Why should you not? If you don't talk confidently, you get whacked on the head. Actually, one book we should do. Not that we are ever going to do it. These are all idle thoughts that come in my mind. Never going to happen. Maybe when the university starts, all these will be fulfilled. But you have to study initially before you even come to Vedanta. You will study stuff like Panchatantra. Panchatantra is what? Like how La Fontaine, the La Fontaine in French.
I studied it actually. I studied it because
Which one? Panchatantra or the La Fontaine?
Because I was working with legends and the stories of spoken mythology and that sort of thing. So that's why I studied it.
Oh, wonderful. Very good. So you have to study all that. You have to study that. That is one thing you have to study before you come to Vedanta. Another thing you have to study before you come to Vedanta is Nyaya. Nyaya or learning how to think. How can you study philosophy until you know how to think? So to bridge the gap, there is this book, How Do You Know What You Know? But the problem is, many people are telling me Vedanta is easier than that book. So now I'm flummoxed. I don't know what to do. I give up now. So, okay. So, but you have to know. You have to know what is practical life. Like Niti Shatakam or Panchatantra. These are books that talk about how to deal with practical life. And then there is Vedanta, which is axiomatic, which is the base principles on how everything functions. So the assumption when you come here is always that you already know all that. But nowadays, many people don't know any of that. So there's a little gap in the... So actually, Vedanta is now explained from that perspective also. Because otherwise it will become too theoretical. So we include it because it's not been done so far. Okay, so the practical aspects of living life will continue what they are. Study even Chanakya Niti. All this stuff is there to be studied. Chanakya Niti is all the crookedness of the world. How to be crooked in this world. And also you have to learn. And you can't say, oh, I've lived in moral values. Moral values, you go try living moral values. 9, don't get frightened. And you're not suggesting everybody becomes immoral. The thing is, you have to deal with people. You have to deal with the person in front of you. So that, like most religious people all want to be very goody, and they say, no, you must be very good. But the person opposite you is Duryodhana. Please stop being goody and deal with him as he is. That doesn't mean you be Duryodhana with everybody. This is where intellect comes into play. You have to know who you are doing what with. It's quite complicated when you start talking about it, but when you live it, it just becomes self-evident. Okay, so all right, clear up to this point. Does anybody have any doubt? So far, what have we done? The two aspects are surrender to ignorance and gratitude towards receipts. It sort of go hand in hand in the sense, when you recognize the amount of ignorance there is, you can't help but feel grateful that in so much ignorance I'm still surviving. How is that even possible? What is that unseen hand that enables me to survive with this degree of ignorance and foolishness in me? Yet I seem to be doing fine. So amazing, So that's if you understand the ignorance, then the gratitude is obvious. Oh, I don't know anything, and still somehow I'm surviving. How is that even possible? You're all doing fairly well in life. We are going about our life, eating ice cream, and we're dancing, whatever else we're doing in this world, while we're seated on a vast bedrock of just ignorance. Can you imagine it? If you understand that, it's a phenomenal thing, no? Is this even possible? You are walking and you don't know where your next step is going. There is no way you can know whether there's ground ahead of you or not. It's pitch darkness and you're walking. And you're walking quite safely. If you recognize I'm walking in pitch darkness and yet surviving, there is almost like a hidden hand taking care of me. That's what the next paragraph is talking about.
Sankiji, so awareness of receipts will make you grateful, and knowing the amount of ignorance you have will make you surrender. Is that right?
Yes, correct. But also surrender makes you grateful. Meaning the recognition of your ignorance, recognizing you don't know anything about it. Okay, suppose you feel I don't know anything about Vedanta, and yet I came first in the Vedanta exam, then you feel grateful, no?
Great example.
You know, right? Bharat came first in the exam. There are all sorts of geniuses over here. So you're recognizing how helpless I am. Yeah, helplessness, totally helpless. We can't do anything. Today we're talking to each other, but can we do this on our own? Yeah, Madeline.
But Jankiji, are we not grateful also because although we know nothing and we don't know where we're going, we're grateful because we're carried, we are alive, basically. The gratefulness also comes because despite our ignorance, somebody is taking care of us.
Yes, that's what we just said. No, what is that hidden hand? That in spite of this great, you're walking in the night. You can't see a thing. And yet you're walking safely. For all you know, there's a tiger in front of you. There may be a precipice in front of you. But so far, so good. You are managing. It's pitch dark. You can't see a thing. The problem with us is we can't see a thing and we believe we know everything. And we are nicely going along very, very safely. Neither recognizing that it is pitch dark, nor recognizing there's something to be grateful for over here. You're going extremely blessed, all of us. You do realize how many people died in COVID and all of us didn't. Isn't that something?
So what is this that is carrying us and that is looking up? But we are grateful for it.
Yeah, we don't know what is that. How are we surviving in this massive ignorance?
Miracle.
Yeah, miracle, really miracle. It is a miracle. Oh, that's what he's drawing our attention to. Okay, surrender of the bhakta also requires courage. Courage. Why courage? It just requires recognition of ignorance. Say, I don't know. And that's it.
No, but like
The
the
recognition of ignorance may also lead to fear. The recognition of ignorance may also lead to fear. Yes, it leads to fear. Yes, that is a possibility. But if so in the scheme of Bhakti Yoga, you have that ideal, right? So that ideal protects you from the fear. Then Bharat, you have an announcement.